From tech ventures to retail, from startup to scale, entrepreneurs travel a lonely road, but our journey to create doesn't have to be alone. As faith-driven leaders, we are part of a vibrant community. The industry and address may look different, and yet our shared identity is firmly rooted in Christ. The good news? You don't have to hop on a plane to find this movement. It's wherever you are. This is especially true with our faith-driven entrepreneur groups. Gather with other like-minded business owners online or in person. Start with an 8-week foundation course. From there, continue meeting monthly. No cost, no catch, just connection. Already, thousands of entrepreneurs from nearly 100 different countries have connected with one another. Featuring dozens of episodes filmed around the world, video stories and teachings address issues common to faith-driven entrepreneurs. These groups give you time to share and discuss together, from our identity and our calling, to the ways we pursue excellence and steward what God has entrusted to us. Perhaps this is the first time you're in community with like-minded entrepreneurs. Or maybe this is quickly becoming a part of your journey. Wherever you are, others can meet you there. Be reminded that we're all connected to something bigger than any one person, business, or country. Faith-driven entrepreneur is made up of each one of us, and it is driven by all of us. Together, we're making the journey of entrepreneurs less lonely.
Yeah, so it's a community of entrepreneurs across the world. Every country gets a couple of groups where, Jack mindset. So a couple of the groups that people are meeting together, and I think that's a place where we can really share in a very vulnerable way what's going on with us, whether we're passing through any things. We're all Christians, and this is also an avenue for us to discuss the issues. I created it for myself as well, in the sense that I got a group with people to share the struggles, because indeed the entrepreneurial journey is a very lonely one, but it doesn't need to be alone. And yeah, that's the idea here. So we start from praise and worship. Anybody from non-Protestant churches here? Okay, yeah, but you are familiar with what have been happening in DMV anyway, so it's okay. Okay. So the first song is The Goodness of God. You all know this.
Or you will by the time we're finished. I love you, Lord, for your mercy never fails me. All my days I've been held in your hands. From the moment that I wake up till I lay my head, I will sing of the goodness of God. All my life you have been faithful. All my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, I will sing of the goodness of God. Can I get you to stand? Boys, you have led me through the fire, darkest night. You are close like no other. I've known you as a father, I've known you as a friend, and I have lived in the goodness of God. And all my life you have been faithful. All my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, I goodness is running after, it's running after me. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. With my life laid down, I surrender now, I give you everything. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. With my life laid down and surrendered now, I give you everything. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. All my life you have been faithful. All my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, I will sing of the goodness of God. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. With my life laid down and surrendered now, I give you everything. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. With my life laid down and surrendered now, I give you everything. Your goodness is running after, keeps running after me. All my life you have been faithful. All my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, I will sing of the goodness of God. All my life you have been faithful. All my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, I will sing of the goodness of God. Heavenly Father, you have given Jesus the name that is above all names. That at that name, someday every knee will bow and every tongue confess that Jesus Christ is Lord. And we just thank you for his presence in our lives. We thank you more now for your presence in this place. That you would indwell the teaching tonight, our time together, this fellowship. And God, that you would really bless us with your presence, that we would not only speak to you tonight and worship you, but that we would hear you and listen to you. I just want to thank you and ask that all in Jesus' name. Amen.
Okay, so please be seated. Today's topic is about excellence in work, and I can use this one. And actually, I quickly checked how many times it's mentioned in the Bible. Many times. I just found those verses that are on the screen. Where we do work hardly so the Lord and for man, knowing that from the Lord you will receive the greatest and your reward. You are serving the Lord Christ. Or for Proverbs, do you see a man skillful in the work? He will stand before kings. He will not stand before obscure men. And even for the parable of his talents, right? His master said to him, "Will done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful over a little, I will set you over much. Enter in the joy of your master. Enter the joy of your master. So I think this is very important topic today because excellence matters, and actually whatever we do in our work quite often become a decision, because sometimes we could do less work but sell the same deal, or sometimes we don't have time for everyone and we start compromising the business just to serve everyone, or promises. This is also what's happening in the world, and it's happening everywhere. And then another thing, and this is like a fear even happening in a community, people thinking that if I start using services from a Christian business, and I'm also Christian, would it be an issue? Can they be really the same way responsible for our services that give to me, and vice versa? What I can say, what I cannot say, can I bargain for the deal price, and all these kind of things, right? It's actually indeed an issue for us, right? Because obviously we have this, but we're Christians, shall we do this or not? And all these questions we hopefully can raise today and discuss. There will be a video just a bit later, but maybe since we've got several new people, and you were sharing so nice stories today already, I heard them. Maybe you can share just with everyone very quickly about yourself. And we also purposely doing it every time so that we all really remember who is doing what. So we become a really community. We can help each other, not just meeting once. So I'm gonna pass the mic. You're gonna be first today. Yeah, just very quick one, right?
Hi, my name is Vanessa, and I am a video producer at a video advertising studio. So we just help to build credibility for businesses through video marketing. And any fun fact? I saw Alex play the accordion once, and that was interesting. So, fun fact.
Nobody said it was good, everybody said it was interesting, right?
It's a given that it's good.
I'm Asher. I work at a digital marketing agency. Don't own a business yet, but I think there is a call there. Fun fact about myself, I don't know, I used to play rugby for many years. I can't really think of anything else that's fun. Yeah.
So the fun fact here is that we met with him actually on kind of a sales meeting, but then we realized that we know all about FD, that actually FD is happening exactly the place where we met. So our discussion was maybe 5 minutes business and another 1.5 hours about face-to entrepreneurship and everything, and what we do in daily and everything else. That was very interesting. And then just that same day, there were so many other coincidences happened, so I managed to get him to introduce a few people in here that he actually wanted to talk with, but he didn't know even they're here. God clearly works on everyone else and connecting us in very interesting ways. So yeah, we really like that you joined this time.
Hi everyone, my name is Janet. This is, I'm not sure how many times already, I think 4th time, okay. Can't remember already, yeah. So I work in the capital market. I'm a VC accelerator, so I also help to organize investor event to bridge the gap between projects who need to raise money and with the investors. So yeah, kind of stressed actually, because there are more projects than investors in the market space now. So yeah, so my fun fact, lately no time for cycling, too busy with many events happening in Singapore one after another, especially last week the Singapore FinTech Festival. So now looking forward to my holiday in December. I'm going to China. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Johan and I'm in business, different industries, and a fun fact about me is I love gardening.
I don't have a business here.
I don't know the business yet. What brought me here was that I met him on the train on the way here, and I was asking a lot. I have 4 hours to spare. Where do I go? Cause 8:30 p.m. I have a meeting at Buona Vista. Then he just brings me here, so I guess I'm here. I had a business before, advertising stuff. Very boring. And a fun fact about myself, I took a gap year from my college. I just came back. Was in Nepal for 6 months and saw miracles and wonders and can't live the same anymore. Yeah, thanks.
So every second Wednesday, make sure you take a train somewhere around here, okay? Every second Wednesday, and around 5:30, yeah?
Yeah.
And free after the next 3 hours, just make sure that.
Yeah.
So the accidents will keep happening again.
Sorry, my name is Marcus.
Nice to meet you, Marcus.
I'm Jabez. I'm doing an edutech startup with a friend. So basically, we are trying to create a learning game platform. The vision is to replace tuition. So that's like the vision. Fun. What brought me here? I think I just got WhatsApp by Alec. Twice a week. So I was like, okay, I think I would come. Fun fact. Okay, I think one fun fact about me is that I have flat foot, so my left foot is like really flat, like really like almost like a duck. So if anyone wants to see it after this, you can meet me at the back or something like that. You can ask me about it. Yeah, it's really flat. Yeah.
Anyone has a defeat? Okay. My name is Chris.
What's the shape of your foot, Chris? I never asked you before.
What?
What's the shape of your feet? As a
Normal.
flat? Or
Fairly normal.
And the
yeah.
same.
Normal and old. Anyway, my name is Chris, and let's see. I've known a lot about faith-driven entrepreneurs for a number of years, and so this is the first group I'm a part of. I'm the mentor in residence for NUS Enterprise, so I work with a lot of startups. I don't have my own startup. Boy, fun fact, there are a lot. I have had a chance to visit all 7 continents in about 60 countries, and I've pitched on 6 of the 7 continents. I didn't get a chance to pitch in Antarctica. That's the only one that's missing from my pitch record. But anyway.
Hi everyone, I'm Annabelle. What brought me here is Alex and I go way back. I used to run Digital Mission Ventures, which is the shirt that Alex is wearing. And it's just so nice to see him now conducting the session, and I'm in the audience, so it's great stuff. In terms of my business, well, I work at Disney down the road, so I just thought maybe I just pop by and say hi. And I have a side business that focuses on personal styling and etiquette training as well. So that's that. And fun fact about myself, I recently served for the Papal Mass when the Pope was in Singapore I think 2 months ago. Yeah, so I served as a communion minister for that Mass. That was so fun. So it was really lovely. Yep.
Hi everyone, my name is Aaron. So actually it's the first time for me.
Tell us the whole story. It's almost like the train story, yeah? It's like yours, but yeah, tell us the whole story.
Yeah. I was like, I didn't expect to come to DME at the beginning. I thought it was a kind of business sharing events, but when I come there, I fell in love in this environment, and then I keep on attending this. I didn't miss one, right? I never really missed one before.
No, you haven't.
Yeah, I haven't yet.
You ask lots of questions.
Yeah, I asked a lot of questions. Yeah, so but the good news is I recently accepted Christ. Yeah, so thanks Alex and thanks Chris, by the way. Yeah, so it's really a joyful experience to me. I believe that a lot of my life has been transforming along the way, right? So my business, I'm doing a startup as well. We are at level 4. We are doing AI startup. We are building personal bespoke shopping advisors using AI agents technology. Yeah, that's us. Thank you.
Okay, very nice to meet with you. And me and my wife are the good friend of Alex, and we enjoying our good time in Harvest Church in Suntec every Sunday, and we have very good friendship with Alex's family, yeah, including his lovely children, yeah, My name Lake Yang, and in China I have my own factory, which manufacture some rubber components for U.S. market. And 3 years before, our family moving in Singapore and set up my new company in Singapore named HT Science and Development PT Ltd, and as our global sales. Besides our China factory and Singapore company, I have one new company with my son in US. And also we introduced some new robot and new automation machines to Singapore market, especially for the construction industry in the west of Singapore. And it is led to many big boss satisfied with our products, because in Singapore construction industrial, some more employer from Vietnam and overseas workers, and the many salary forced the business, forced the boss. So they really want to reduce their production cost highly. So our robot and our automation machines coming to Singapore that will reduce many workers. For example, 300 workers can be reduced to 100. So the boss of the Singapore are very happy. So I think we can continue our contribution in Singapore and for US. Thank you so much.
Anybody from the government here? Since I already love the speech. My name is Alex. As I say, I'm helping to facilitate this. It's all started from Indeed Digital Mission Ventures, which I was a mentee last year. This year I'm a mentor there. We just finished one cohort's first gathering this weekend. It's actually very lovely. If you guys want to dive deep in this kind of thing more, then we could join that accelerator, and I think it's very deep, because the way it has impacted me is we completely changed our business, changed the vision. We still have the same product, which is advertising software. But if last time we were helping marketers to, make ads cheaper and better, now our software helping them to spend less time on work, being still excellent in their work through the automation, and they don't spend more time on their face and family. And this is a very different way how we think about business. So through that DMV, I get exposed to face-driven entrepreneurship movement, which is great. I listened to a bunch of podcasts. I saw that this is something that needs to be scaled and delivered to as many people as we can. I really encourage you to do the same thing if you believe in it, and that's why we started this physical group. Before there was an online group where people just meet in a Zoom for an hour, but I saw that physical with pizza is really a good idea. And that's what we're doing, and we're committed to do it. Whatever number of people will come, we will be doing so, because one person coming here to get saved, or one person catching a train and maybe start a redemptive business in the person is enough for us, is enough good result for us to continue doing so. But there's a bit of vision behind this. Originally FDE is a small group gathering of friends, and there's a big advantage of it, because everybody's friends, so they can be very open. But what I realized that first we can become friends, and many of us are friends now. Second, when we get as much people as we could to join this, see at least one session, at least two sessions, maybe stay, maybe come for another course of the same thing that will be run again. It actually can have quite a good impact on entrepreneurship in Singapore. And as long as we get more businesses that are, we call it redemptive in nature, where they give first, sacrifice first for others, and then through the faith make their businesses working better, because they're doing it not just for the revenues, but for the employees, for their clients. Ultimately, for God, that video today will be about this, then that thing, I'm sure will be supported, will be growing, and we can have really play a very good part of it. So we watch the videos every time. Today is a really short one, and after the video we have several questions that we go through together, and everybody needs to give at least one response, okay? We really try to participate, and then in the end we're gonna have some fellowship there with a coffee and pizza behind.
Welcome back to the Faith-Driven Entrepreneur video series. It's awesome to have you with us. Today, we're going to talk about excellence, how it's incredibly important that we do our work really, really well, because there are going to be a lot of people watching us. But first, a great video from one of my favorite faith-driven entrepreneurs, Don Flo. Watch with me, please.
When I first came out of college, my dad asked me if I wanted to consider coming back with him in a Volkswagen dealership we owned. And I told him that I first wanted to go to graduate school in theology because I wanted to ground my faith much more biblically and theologically as I went forward. And then that I wanted to do every job in a dealership and I want to get paid just like it. I remember working as a technician. And I'd been a really good student along the way, and I was a very average technician. And I remember struggling, and one time I'm working on this exhaust manifold, intake manifold, and I get rust in my eyes, it's burning up hot, and I'm like, why am I doing this? I could have been in graduate school right now. I could have gone here. I'm doing this right now. But my idea was I want to actually experience the struggles everybody went through when they did their jobs. I did that for 4 years. And then I went back to graduate business school. I began to develop kind of some basic premise, and one of them was that what space had God given me to have influence? What does it mean for me to actually live love in that setting? And what does it mean to actually bring hope to these people's lives and encourage them as people?
You can be in the car business a lot of places, but if you want to do it differently and better, and you want to provide a very, very different experience for people, this is about the only place you can do that.
Everything that we do is about building trust with our customers, and I think Don has done a good job of instilling that in his management and his leaders in the company, how we take care of our customers, how we take care of each other as employees, and also how we look to serve the community that we live and work in.
This is, for a lot of people, the second most, and for some people, the most expensive purchase they're ever going to make. So to me, what's different about that is that we care that we're going to affect their whole life if we do this wrong.
If we looked in terms of biblical language and said, what do we want to be about? How does that give expression to what we're trying to do now in terms of what would be animating the culture or our ethos inside our business? We said the first thing has to be trust. And to be a person that our organization is trustworthy, we have to ask, what does that actually mean? If you came in for service, what would that look like? If you came in and bought a car from us, what would that look like? And we deconstructed everything we did in the business, everything all the way. So you entrust your car to us, and you're at a really disadvantage. You don't know anything about cars, and you can't get around if you don't have a car. So it's pretty easy for somebody to take advantage of somebody else. What would that look like for us to say that could never happen here? And we came out and said, we can only give you one estimate. And so we came back with more than we had to basically eat that. It means that if we didn't fix it right the first time, you never paid again. It meant that you couldn't be inconvenienced. We'd go pick up your car and bring it back to you. And the price that we quoted would never be more than that, no matter what. No matter if we made a mistake or not, it'd be done one time.
Some of the things that people experience out in the industry is just the hiding of information.
We do the opposite. We want to tell them every single thing. So us being profitable is not about us having more information than the customer. It's about us giving value and providing a really, really fantastic service for people, not only when they buy their car, but long after when they service their car.
If negotiation is basically based on asymmetrical knowledge, in the sense that I know something you don't know and I can use that against you, then we can't do that anymore. So we changed the whole way cars were priced, how we came to market. Instead of starting at the top and negotiating down prices, we came right up front with the price. You look at the way we appraise cars too. We went to the open books. You can see how we arrived at the price. In the financing world, long before there were caps on financing, we said we have to cap it. Doesn't make any difference what the law is. We have to cap it because we said your ability to negotiate should not determine the price you pay. It should be the same offer everybody gets. Warranties on our used cars, we put a 100,000-mile warranty on a used car. So we have to figure out how to manage that cost. So that meant we had to get better reconditioning. So we developed very detailed process so we knew with confidence the car would really last. And then we put a money-back guarantee because we said that's what you would do for your neighbor. You'd be able to offer something back again. And people said, I must be crazy. They took all that. They said, well, if I said I was really going to treat a person like my neighbor or like a guest in my home, that's what I would do. So why aren't we doing that? How do we kind of re-engage in the trust relationships? Trust has underneath it keeping your promises, always regardless of the cost. It means that you would never advantage yourself to the disadvantage of another. It means there can never be any language that's manipulative, deceptive, or puts you at a disadvantage. If you said, you can make $1 trillion, but we can't treat people like this anymore, or we can't treat customers like that, so I just don't want to make it. That's not success for us. Success has to begin in terms of we can be trusted to always do the right thing for our customer. A place that a person comes to work, they invest their scarce labor capital with me, and they get a full return for their life for having done so. And we have a place that our communities, that we really enhance the communities we're in, that we are a place that if we didn't exist, people wish we were there. Faith is something we actually exercise. It's not an abstract concept. And so how do we actually exercise faith? And love is something we actually live. It's not an abstraction, all right, but it's actually a lived movement in life. And hope is something we actually bring in our very presence. And so we want to connect those to people's lives and say, how do we help this be a place that's worth believing in? How is this a place where you believe you make a contribution and you make a difference in what you do? And how can this be a place where you feel connected as a human being?
The Christian philosopher Francis Schaeffer once said that our opportunity to be heard by the lost world would be directly related to how well we do our work. You know, many people don't think about the connection between excellent work and our witness, but I can guarantee you that non-Christians see it. The Apostle Peter said in his letter, 1 Peter, that we ought to live our lives in such a way that people ask about our motivations. What is it that drives us to such excellence in our work, such high standards in our ethical dealings, even if nobody else is watching? Listen, if your witness was the only reason to pursue your business with excellence, it would be worth it. But here's the thing. External witness is not the only reason. There's an even greater reason to pursue excellence in our work. In Colossians 3:23 and 24, the Apostle Paul writes, you know, whatever you do, you should do it from the heart. It's something done for the Lord and not just for people, knowing that you will receive the reward of an inheritance from the Lord himself, because you don't just serve your boss. You don't just serve your customers. You serve the Lord Christ. If our work is done for the Lord, then it should be done according to the highest standards of excellence, right? I mean, our work by itself, Paul says, is an offering to God, even if it doesn't have Bible verses or Christian slogans attached to it. Just think on that. Your work is like an offering that you are going to present at the throne of God. Is the quality of your work befitting of the majesty of God? Would you be embarrassed to lay down your work at God's feet? Does the excellence of your work point people to the excellence of God? I know a few business people in our community who say that they actually don't like partnering with Christian businesses because those businesses aren't reliable. They don't honor deadlines, as if Christian grace demands the excusing of sloppiness or a lack of professionalism. I'll just tell you, that is flat out wrong. That is not a Christian approach to work in the business. Christian entrepreneurs ought to be producing something of quality and reliability that points people to the goodness and excellence of God. Christian entrepreneurs ought to pursue excellence in their businesses, not simply because they want to increase their bottom line, but because what they do is first and foremost an offering to Christ. Because we report to a higher authority, we seek to serve him with the highest quality work possible. Think about it. Can't we safely assume that no wobbly chairs came out of the carpenter shop in Nazareth? Before Jesus preached the kingdom to the glory of God on a hillside, he made chairs to the glory of God in a carpenter shop. So we've got to follow the example of our Savior and seek excellence in every aspect of our entrepreneurial journey. Knowing that our business endeavors are primarily for God also is going to add new significance to what we do, especially during the difficult season. When you know that God is watching, it changes your approach to those periods in business or your enterprise when it feels like nobody else is. Whether everyone is praising you for a brand new initiative or you're struggling to get your first investor, you know that you're working first and foremost for Christ, and he's always the same and he always deserves your best. C.S. Lewis, the Oxford Don and Christian philosopher, once noted how explorers going into the New World would sometimes lay their eyes on a valley that they assumed no human eyes had ever beheld before. And they would see that it was filled with all these incredible, stunning flowers and natural beauty that they assumed nobody had ever seen. And Lewis said that meant for years and years, these valleys flourished in beauty with no human eyes to behold that beauty. Was that beauty wasted, Lewis asked? Well, no, C.S. Lewis said, because God does some things for his own pleasure, and God sees even when nobody else does. Well, see, the same is true of our work. Whether anybody sees it or not, God sees it, even when nobody else does. For many of you as entrepreneurs and business owners, you have a unique opportunity not only to display excellence, but you can also help cultivate a culture of excellence, which in and of itself glorifies God. Every decision you make is going to impact an entire range of people. It's going to impact your investors, your customers, your employees, just to name a few. Are you going to make decisions that take care of them or ones that just benefit you? Doing excellent work is a way of serving and loving all the people impacted by what you are creating. And what you do as the entrepreneur, you multiply in the lives of those around you. You know this, that the kind of business you run, the kind of work that you do is going to impact how people learn to do business and how they learn to think. It's going to create a culture that's going to impact not just their work lives, but all of their lives, their personal lives. You get the unique opportunities to set that tone in your organization. So which one are you going to set? Is it going to be one that's marked by a ruthless pursuit of the bottom line? Or is it going to be one marked by good enough work? Or is it going to be one viewed as a service to others where excellence is both modeled, encouraged, and celebrated as an offering to God? Excellence doesn't just happen, you know that. Excellence is, in the words of Eugene Peterson, the result of a long obedience in the same direction. But it gets easier when we see the bigger purpose, and that is that our excellence serves those around us and glorifies the God who is above us. What this means is that a Christian's excellent work helps to bring God's presence to the world. God is active through a person's work to ensure that families are fed, that homes are built, and that justice is carried out. Too many Christians begrudge their work when they ought to revel in the fact that God is using them in whatever small way to fulfill his purposes on earth. Is that how you see your work?
I love that quote from Francis Schaeffer, which he talks about effectively, it's to the degree that we do our work well, that we have an opportunity to witness and be heard. I hope that you'll come back to the website, faithdrivenentrepreneur.org. We've got a daily blog, a weekly podcast, a monthly newsletter, and that you'll interact with us. And also, you'll get together in groups of people and talk about what does it look like to be excellent in the work we do. Do we look like the mediocre service person that's got a fish on our van? Or are we leading with excellence? Is our work such that people see what we're doing and want to find out what makes us tick? And why is it that we do our work so well? So look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks for joining us.
To me, this is actually probably one of the most important sessions out of everything, because you cannot just do excellent work because you decide so. That actually affects all your business. It affects your margins, your clients, and you have to find a balance in the business to being able not just doing excellent work by yourself, but also get all your employees to do so at the same time. So that's about the leadership and the vision and everything. And then you look at the businesses that the whole essence of the business is because you are trying to maximize your margins from the services, from the products that you trade, right? So then there's a lot of questions getting raised. So we just discuss a few of them, just as a review. So the first one is people wary of working with Christian businesses because those businesses don't often have the best service or level of excellence. So have you experienced that actually anywhere? Have you came across, or to you, business, whether Christian or not, it has like there's no any relevance, no any relation between these two things? Anybody want to comment on that? It's okay to be first to comment. Yeah. So if there is if you know that the business is Christian, are you likely to work with that business, less likely to work with this business, or it will be just the same? Yeah, if I run this in the US, everybody gonna already respond. I'm running this in Asia, become like a school teacher. Okay, Henry, what do you think about that? And introduce yourself to everyone else because you're late.
Okay. I don't know whether they're audible. Yeah, hi. Sorry, I'm late. My work doesn't stop until a certain time.
So you want to make it excellent, right?
Yeah, always endeavoring to do it. Yeah, anyway, I'm Henry. I'm from a performance marketing agency, Neo360. Yeah, so yeah, that's why, the clients always demand the best of agencies, right? So, it's always a constant challenge. Okay, with respect to this question, I guess I don't necessarily, I encounter businesses on very regularly, yeah, because I meet clients, right, or prospects, right? So obviously I don't go around asking, are you a Christian business before I meet you? It's usually a conversation that comes only much later. I guess in that sense, I can't think offhand whether there's something that disappointed me or something that struck me as, oh, wow, it's a Christian business and it's operating at this level or operating in this manner. But I guess in Singapore context, maybe from an SME point of view, I would believe so, because the Singapore SME has, environment has certain practices which I have encountered before quite regularly. I'll give you an example. Yeah, one of it is the way that they pay the vendors. And there's this thing about playing with cash flow, because you pay the vendor late, you can be better. Yeah,
you're getting them crediting you.
Yeah,
but it's you decide to let them credit you. Okay.
Well, not really. Yeah, but that's something that. But I don't know whether they're Christian. But I would believe that because I have went through so many businesses in my past decade, right? So I would believe that definitely there are occasions that they are probably run by Christians. Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't know. Yeah, because I never worked long enough for we never partner long enough with such businesses. Because usually, when we have such a relationship, usually it doesn't last very well and very long. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Okay, and the second one is about how crucial it is to do excellent work, and how does it impact negatively or positively the unbelievers around us. And you were doing a panel about that. Yeah, so can you introduce yourself, because you also came late.
Just 2 days ago. Hi, my name is Boon Kim, and I met Alex because over the weekend we are mentors to some startups in a Christian accelerator, digital t-shirt is wearing. But I am not an entrepreneur myself. I work in government, so but no less different is the point about excellence in work. But maybe before that, I was just reflecting on your answer earlier on the first question. It might be more an American context where people are much more open that they're working with a Christian business than in Singapore. So, a lot of Singapore businesses or Christians kind of, that's why we try to get this marketplace thing going, to see that, you know, your faith in church on Sunday should translate to what you do on the weekdays and in your businesses. And in theory, everybody should see that a Christian business, whether you declare that openly or not, should be different from others because of that. And that related to that is that the excellence, as the video was saying, right, that we are doing unto the Lord, not unto man, so that even if people are not seeing it, even if that means having what you call that, less profits because we are loving our neighbors, that is the case. And where we were discussing on Sunday is how then do we frame it? I guess internally how we frame it is, what do we define as success? What does success look like to you, right? Because if you take from biblical principles, there is one notion of success. But as startup founders that we were talking about on Sunday, a lot of the success is what the world has prescribed as success. How do you raise an up round? How do you continue to increase valuation and have that hyper growth regardless of cost, right? But if you frame the success as the Lord sees it, then what does that look like? And then we gave some framework to see how to look at it. But it first of all begins with a heart motivation of our ambition on what success is. And if success is really unto God, for example, then is it profit at all cost, right? So it just causes us to think like, so for example, even in my workplace where it's not profit driven, then what does success look like? Success looks like maybe I'm also helping my neighbor around in terms of succeeding together, not just taking the glory for myself in terms of doing things in work. How do we be more collaborative? How do I work to more win-win situations? So even sometimes I sacrifice what is a win for myself and things like that.
I want to challenge that, just to wear the opposite head. And government, let's say software, government programs, they are often slower, often less advanced. When I say programs, I'm talking about even apps, like an app, right? That app might be less advanced because maybe there were less budgets dedicated into it, because that app might have not need to compete as other business apps have to compete in the marketplace, because this is the only way for them to, to be the first. So then in this way, but also at the same time, you're right, government is a good example of when you're not really driven by the worldly metrics, right? You are trying to serve people around, pretty much. I think we would agree on this, right? So that government is a little more aligned with serving people than just businesses that could be completely selfish. So then in this way, the theory that competition, where one business wants to eat another one, to kill another one, actually creates a good quality products and everything. That's what we're discussing now goes completely against the theory, right? So how do you still create excellent products, excellent service in the environment when you are actually wearing completely different hats, and you maybe don't want to compete, don't want to use advantage of knowing something that others don't know in a negotiation, and all the rest of the examples have been given. You are losing all the tools to kind of create excellent product, for example. You probably will lose some finance because you wouldn't raise them, because you're not hunting the word, but then what shall you do?
Wow, that's a lot of things to unpack.
You're a DMV speaker, right? So I'm giving you a difficult one.
You, my friend. Yeah, I mean, what I'm I'm hearing, for example, what you're saying is that if there is free market competition, things, it's almost like theory of evolution, right? The survival of the fittest,
exactly.
You get the best product, right?
Yeah.
And that's another challenge for the private sector. How do you want to compete in a way that you don't go and kill all your competitors, right? This is separate, but you have the best product from that side. From the government perspective, there are ways around it, because we have the funds, but we might not know how to deploy the funds. So, for example, in my office, we do have a venture capital fund, and it's funded by National Research Foundation, for example. And one way to get around that part where, okay, how do I go invest in companies, right? We just go on the point, quite simply, that government is not the best investor. And where then will we work around, we look at working around by being a co-investment partner to de-risk, so to de-risk the VCs, to go into areas where we want to push the VCs in. For example, I work in the startup space, and so we say that over the past 10 years, we've catalyzed our startup ecosystem pretty well. There are over close to 5,000 tech startups in Singapore, and over 400 VC companies, 200 incubators, so that's pretty good. What next? The hard part are those people like to go for, VCs like to go for quick returns, so they will invest into areas like e-commerce or the tech company, the fintech companies, and those that can scale pretty quickly. But the ones like really developing a new drug, hard tech, where capex is very high, it's hard. So we capitalize that. We say we'll come de-risk your funding. Private investors is coming, but we use the private sector matrix in terms of assessing.
So help them to reassess the priorities, actually, what they're investing in, not just really
doing that
financially.
in a way that helps the whole ecosystem grow, right? So we have that matrix. There are failings in that, but we just have to review and look at it. I would say that where you're working in not a profit-driven thing, the same motivation comes from the individual and as an entrepreneur. What is your own ambition? Right? So we have to question that in the heart.
Which is, cool.
I'm just a mentor for startups, so this is above my pay grade. But I think one of the confusions sometimes comes when we talk about excellence is we think of perfectionism. And I've worked for companies where we had a kind of a weird perfectionism. We had a weird perfectionism where everything you were supposed to do in the company always uniformly was supposed to be perfect. And I remember one guy worrying about the fact that something wasn't properly on the document, wasn't properly centered or whatever. I mean, just really minute things. And I remember thinking, okay, that's straining at gnats and swallowing camels. I think the idea of excellence is, it's to the point that Mr. Flo talked about. It's understanding who our neighbors are, that our employees are our neighbors, our suppliers are our neighbors, our customers are our neighbors, and do we meet and exceed their expectations? And I think that was what I thought was so interesting about what Flo was talking about. It's not that they were always going to do everything perfectly, but that they were striving to meet and exceed the expectations of their customers by saying, for example, we're going to do our best to quote accurately, but if we're off and it costs us more than we projected, we're not going to try to come back and claim it. We're not going to play games and hide things. And I think that's the excellence. If people get what they expect, or even a little bit more, and everything they do with you, I pay you this and I get a good experience. I think that's really the essence of excellence, and that's what God is looking for. It's you measure excellence by how good a neighbor you are within your work framework. And I think if you do that, in many cases the success will take care of itself, but it may be a long slog and you may have to walk by some quicker and easier opportunities that you would get.
But also excellence is probably, excellence is probably not about, it's not like measured uniformly in a scale, because everyone's excellence level at every point of time is different, right?
But that's why I said I don't think it's perfectionism. I think it's doing the right things to try to please the people and meet the expectations of the people you're working with. So as an example, I'll just throw this out. This was a team I'm working with. I referred them to an investor, and the investor reached out to them, apparently conversation. Investor sent them an NDA, said we want to have some follow-up. And then I ran into the investor, had coffee with them a few weeks later, and they said, we never heard back from these guys. They just went silent. We didn't hear anything. And so I followed up with the team, and I said, you know, what happened? I don't know what the outcome of the conversation, but why didn't you get back to them? The guy said, oh, well, we just decided that they really weren't the right investor for us. They didn't really fit our profile. And I said, okay, that's your decision. You know, that's a choice you make. But did you follow up with them? Did you close the loop and politely say, thanks for the meeting, we appreciate your time, but we didn't, you know, we don't think it's a good fit right now. Well, no, I don't think I have to do that because, you know, they're just not good for you. It's not something I want to pursue, and that was, again, the quality of excellence sometimes is the quality of integrity and of follow through and getting things done. And I think a lot of times that's what's missing versus like perfection. Like everything has to be perfect all the time. It's never going to be. We're human. We fall short, but they know overall our goal is to meet and exceed the expectations, to treat people.
Could be perfect and could be late, and that actually could be not excellent because you
could
exactly
be, yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Those,
yeah, and I work with people like that. I would rather have it a week late, a week after I promised, but I make sure everything is right, and I'm not going to tell you, and you just be happy when you get it because it's so good. And yeah, I don't think that's excellence. That's a weird kind of unexcellence. But anyway.
I think a better way to phrase it, I mean, I don't know if it's a better way to phrase it, but for example, at DMV, we talk about high excellence, high grace. So yes, we have a standard of what excellence look like whether it's, you know, having integrity, loyalty, following through, but we also have a culture of grace. So let's say if you are not able to reach that standard of perfection, there's that grace in that, okay, we fail and then we come back up and we improve and quickly improve and iterate again. So I think it's having both excellence and also having grace to be like, okay, if you can't reach that standard of perfection, how can I improve and get better? And that as colleagues, as a boss, as a manager, we still extend that grace as well to them too. So I don't know.
Since we're playing tennis here, I'll take one more volley on this. It's that you have grace and you have appropriate perfection, not just everything has to be appropriate perfection, but that you try to bake into your process where you will be excellent even if you fail. So the example he had is we send you a quote, and if we're wrong on it and it costs us more, we eat that. So our long-term pressure is to say, let's be better and better at quoting accurately and getting it right. But if it's not, we're gonna buy that. So we have an internal pressure to improve our processes. But you're right, there's a grace there. Okay, you made a mistake on it. Let's figure it out. Let's do it right next time.
Yeah, especially if it's like, let's say if like a new employee, they didn't know, right? We still extend that grace.
Or an employee who's having a bad
absolutely.
time.
Yeah. So it's both ways.
So about that point, right? So excellent work is it's not just about outcome, but also about our abilities, right? So it's always measured in a scale that we establish ourselves, the scale is changing. God is watching us, and we use our talents, skills, abilities to work in purpose. And the question is, in what ways does the quality of work you've done recently reflect the God you serve? What are some habits you can implement to ensure that you're always working for God and not to praise others? And I would also add, and not to, get your business reaching the KPIs that maybe your team is pushing for, your boss is pushing for. And I want to ask you, because you're in the advertising industry. Yeah. So how do you actually implement this excellence of you working perfectly in an agency when you are not the director of the agency, and marketing agency industry is very exploitive sometimes, not for every single. So how do you maintain the excellence level? How does it affect your work? Henry got an easier question, right? You're gonna get a bit harder. You guys in the same industry, I think, right?
Yeah, I'm Asher from First Beauty Digital. Maybe I need to take a hard look at myself as well. But for me, I guess, sales, right? So easy way to sell is to overpromise and underdeliver, which is essentially lying. But for me, I guess I take the time to educate. I also educate prospects on like potential ploys of other agencies and say that we want to be an agency that tries to underpromise but over-deliver. So I guess education is one way, just like how in the video the car business they educate, they bothered to take the time to educate their clients rather than just to overpromise or whatever. So that is one way that I try to practice excellence. Yeah, I guess the rest is in a way out of my hands. Another thing is in selling solutions, I am not very motivated to sell what I know my agency isn't so strong at delivering. So I guess that's another point of integrity. I just say that we don't offer that service. Yeah.
So you're not doing this because you know that eventually they come up to you or for some other purpose? Because sales do stay in the loop eventually, right?
Yes.
If your agency didn't deliver something, who will be questioned? Probably you. Is it the reason why you are not selling those services and not your accounts?
I think that's part of it, but part of it is to some extent integrity also. Like my previous agency, and after a while I realized that my execution team could not deliver. I got very disillusioned and very unmotivated to sell.
Yeah, I think we actually had with you this conversation once. She got on a call with me and we were discussing about redemptive marketing, how just the word marketing by itself contradicts the redemptiveness of it, and the like marketing is about sales, is about not beautifying things, but portraying them in such a way that they can become very desirable. And then how do you turn away deals that actually doesn't that you actually can help to sell better, but they go against your values? And she was telling me, I think it's something we all know. So she was saying, but in agency we take all jobs we can because we want to grow the business. And then it was a difficult conversations for us in the sense, for me as well, because I'm from the same industry, that how you don't take every job you can actually, but only take those jobs that are not just good for your business, but also at the same time they don't contradict your values, your Christian values, and you can really do those jobs excellently and not having any second thought about that. So considering how our work is a way of loving and serving others well, what could lazy work say about our heart towards God and towards others? Does anybody experience lazy work from your employees? How do you deal with it? What it can say? Where does the lazy work come from actually? Sometimes we are very, very busy so much, so we start. Did you experience shortcuts in the work of your team? How did you deal with this? How does it actually affect this whole concept? Anybody can comment about that? No. Nobody meets a lazy work. I didn't meet a lazy work in my company a lot, right? So I realized that when people get lots of projects, sometimes lazy work become not really the result of laziness as at whole, but probably the result of an anxiety of the team. Because when you have so many things to do during the day, sometimes you probably just want to do some not thought through work just to get rid of one of the tasks in your calendar, bounce it back. And sometimes it might become a lazy work, and sometimes it's actually the business owners or the bosses start doing these kind of things because just so many of them, and it's like a way you kind of try to find a piece of mind. Otherwise, it's just getting crazy when you're running a business. So what I realized, this is my personal sharing. What I realized that when you are really anxious and don't feel like you have a peace, actually praying and just singing some worship songs can immediately change everything miraculously. And technically, you don't do. You mean you do something very different as compared to just work responding emails and doing this stuff, but technically it's not the change of the activities that makes you feel much less anxious. But I guess it's just because making you anxious and busy is one of the weapons to make your work be not excellent. Because you start making a lazy work, you start making shortcuts. So there's a different weapon that the enemy is using, right? He might be using your greediness, your lies to do the sales deal, so that you can do like some you can sell something or promise something that let the team handle. That's not my business anymore. That's one way. That's because you're maybe greedy because you want to get a better commission, or you just want your business to grow faster. But another one is out of anxiety. That's what operations teams are very often facing. You get just so many things that kind of stop facing you. You're burning out. You start just not lazy work, but just do something for each of these things and just really find the rest. And the problem is you don't really find peace. I realize that I never really find peace by ticking all the ticks of the day and say, okay, now my job is done, and then I can feel less stress. In fact, I will realize that there will be a few more jobs immediately popping up again. And the only way to not fall into this is actually make a decision to focus on things that matter, like family, like work, or you simply just go pray, and just that prayer will actually release. At least in my case, it always releases me from this anxiety. And I think we have to be very much aware of the weapons the enemy is using against us, especially for the entrepreneurs, because it's just happening all this. I'm not sure whether you can relate. Maybe it's just my case, but I'm talking now somebody like nodding their hand as well. That's maybe that's something you have experienced as well. So yeah, maybe just take one last one.
Alex, can you just
sure
comment about this lazy? I find it very hard to define, because whether it's lazy or not, the individual will know himself. But say if the person is working for me, I'll say that if the work is below my expectations, right? It's below the standard that is expected. It could be one or three reasons. Being lazy, taking shortcuts could be just one of them. That's an attitude problem. There could be two others, right? Like the question before is ability. Maybe it's he or she has been doing the best, but is unable to produce work that is meeting the expectation of the organization or your expectation as the leader of the organization. That's one level, right? The other one is that. So I think one way to maybe it's just off season for him or her due to some personal reason that is affecting a family member is ill, right? And they can't meet the deadlines. Or maybe a problem of my leadership, because as you said, we've loaded too many things and we've taken on too many projects, and the staff just cannot manage, and then they just keep it. So we're probably the review of it. So it is one in which the ability of the person is not there, then in terms of being redemptive about it, it's about trying your best to coach and train the person over a certain period of time to see if you can make it in our organization. Then the other ways just rotate them to something that is a fit with everything.
And that works. Rotation actually works very well. I did it a few times, and some people become really excellent in something completely different from what they were doing originally.
Correct. So then the other one is track record. If he has been consistently producing good work and then just a season, then I think it's more as a leader to know the person, to know your staff, so to understand, and not just a cog in the machine producing work, but to know the person and understand why during this season is not doing.
And sometimes that actually helps them to make their life way better. Because people do learn through hardships. In fact, it's unfortunately, the most efficient way. One of the most efficient way, and God uses us quite often as well. What you touched just now is very much about the last question, right? How can you encourage an employee, a business partner, or coworker to be excellent in all that they do this week, or just generally? How would you encourage, or how did you encourage, like in your organizations, somebody who have employees or maybe partners, and maybe you feel like that they didn't do a good job, and maybe that's not because of, say, family issues or something, maybe you know this. How would you encourage them to do excellent work? Anyone have example? Just from your business, how do you encourage somebody in your company to do an excellent work? And yeah, we always see the ups and downs actually, right? So how did you do that last time, or gonna do it next time?
So I think in the startup that we are doing, startup is a lot of time pressures, right? Sometimes you have to rush a lot of things, you do a lot of things, you might miss out some things that are important, and that there's a time deadline, and that the client may require. So I think one way that we try to do it, because we realize that, okay, this is an area where you would be failing, is that we have this sort of like a tip jar kind of thing. So, okay, let's say we have a deadline, we'll put it on we have this chat group, so I put it in a chat group so that everyone sees it, employee, okay, finish this task by this deadline, and if you don't meet it, then you put a money into this overall jar. And I think the funny thing was that I was talking with my business partner, he was saying that actually for him it works not because of the money aspect, but because all the employees are seeing it. So if you don't do it, they'll be like, oh, this boss is not, it's not up there. So I think that's one way that we try to encourage everyone to be excellent, to meet basic commitments, basic promises, and to not just compromise on that because I'm very busy doing other stuff. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, well, that's also become accountable to the group, not accountable to God, because not everyone is Christian in your organization. This is something we discussed in DMB last time as well. You're actually not gonna hire just Christians. You're gonna hire everyone, and this is an opportunity for you to be excellent and pray and hope that actually they will come to you and say, hey, why? What is that much different in you as compared to everyone else we see in the market and other similar organizations, that you can share. You can share why. What I do is I'm actually sometimes sending these videos or videos of our catch-ups. Just a few days back, there was our previous talk was about not worshiping work, and one of my employees, he was talking about him making it become his identity, always working very hard day and night, and he feels like it's a very good justification of him being angry at everyone. In fact, he started doing his work not excellently. He started being angry at clients and revealing that to them so they can sense it. And then I sent him the previous session video, and I say, okay, so this video talk about how you don't worship work, how you can still be really good at work, but you don't make it your identity. Don't make your company your identity. Don't make your whatever project that you're doing your identity. That actually helps you in the balance. And today, yeah, we have such an awesome topic about the work excellence itself. So, if you haven't done so, just a trick. These videos, they are Christian, but they're also very business. And if you get non-Christian or Christian employees struggling in certain ways, actually quite a number of videos that Praxis releases that address that thing, and would actually, from a third party, not from you, but from a third party, credible third party, reminds them on different way of looking at the company, different way of doing work, and maybe you can, maybe you can attract them. Maybe they'll join our group, or they just start trying to get to know Jesus. I think this is a part that we all should be continuously focused on. This is also one of the reasons why I'm running this. So this is pretty much it for today. The next session is about faithful versus willful, and it's about the importance of identity. You can pre-watch the videos, they're all available on YouTube, so that maybe you can get some ideas prior to the session that we can discuss here. Other than that, thanks so much, and there is a pizza behind, so let's continue the conversations there as well. There's a coffee here, right? So the coffee machine is just there.